Hey everybody, Rose Waltz here, and I got to play the 2XKO Alpha Lab I've played probably about 5 hours now, probably a lot more by the time this goes live, and I wanted to throw out some first impressions as someone who's never really played tag games before. As a bit of a preface, I do have a lot of League of Legends experience. I used to play it a lot when I was younger, and I have a fair amount of fighting game experience, though like I mentioned, it's not in tag fighters, so that's something that's taken a lot of getting used to. Let's start off with the easy stuff first. There's 6 characters in the game, and they all play a little differently. They're varied enough to be a lot of fun as you start to learn a new character. The avatar creator system is pretty straightforward. It's about what you would expect. The training mode is quite in-depth. There's a lot of things you can do as far as like setting the bot to guard and stuff, and then it's got hurt box indicators, hitbox indicators, frame data display. There's a lot of really good stuff in the training mode to help you lab things out. It's got your classic input displays, your input histories. Now let's move on to the real meat, the lobby system. The game lets you do casual matches, and I would say, first impressions, this lobby system is the best lobby system I've ever played. Granted, that's not a very high bar to cross, as I play things like Guilty Gear Strive, which has an abysmal lobby system, but 2XKO is very cool in a very unique way. You kind of matchmake as you're standing around, and then when you get matchmade into something, both you and your opponent run up to an arcade cabinet. It's actually got a really cool feel to it, and I'm a big fan, and there's infinite rematch, which is great in the casual modes. I think that's awesome. Okay, now that we've got all of that primer easy stuff out of the way, let's get into the complicated stuff. This is a fighting game. It is a very interesting fighting game. There are no motion inputs in this game. This is great for beginners, but don't get it twisted. I would not say this is a beginner-friendly game, although being able to do basic things and stuff like the auto combo fuse is really nice for new players. No, what I mean when I say that this is not a beginner-friendly game is that this is a game for sickos, and I mean that positively. It's really cool, but the lack of a guard button and a lot of very committal moves that have long recovery make this a very easy game to get absolutely dumpstered in. Before we talk too much about those details, though, let's go over the basics of the combat. There is a light, medium, a heavy button, and then a special 1 and a special 2 button. Various characters will have various command normals, like Braum has a lot of follow-ups on his crouching and standing heavies. He's got a 6H that has a follow-up. A lot of characters like Ari have things like 3M and 3H, stuff like that. And for those of you who don't know what I mean when I say like 3, it's numpad notation. I don't have time to explain it here, but it's pretty straightforward, though there are a lot of good resources on Google and stuff if you just look up numpad fighting game notation. Beyond that, each character uses their specials very differently. It is not like this is a forward special and this is a neutral special. No, a lot of characters have like stances like Yasuo, a lot of characters have Rekkas, a lot of characters have advancing stuff on their specials. There's all kinds of crazy things going on, and it's really cool. It makes each character feel super duper unique. So now, why exactly did I call this a game for sickos? Well, there is a lot of nasty setups and things that your opponent can do. I would say a lot of the stuff in this game is not exactly noob friendly. There's a lot of noob killing moves. Off the top of my head, Ari's block string pressure is like particularly brutal if you don't know how to mash or abare or where the options are that you can do that. It's really tough, and while her pressure is fake, new players aren't really gonna know that off the bat. There's also Darius's hook-in ability, which forces this kind of nasty strike-throw mix-up guess option. It's like forces you straight into a very advantageous RPS for the Darius, and I and many others don't really know how to beat it at the moment. There's also Echo, who has a pretty unique special that kind of does a double hit and then a cross-up overhead as far as I can tell. Now, while this is actually a move you want to see if you're an experienced player because it's incredibly minus if you block it correctly, new players are not exactly going to be able to react fast enough to block a cross-up like that without a block button, and I think it's going to get a lot of matches against beginner players. There is stuff like this all over the game, and that's just the pretty basic stuff. If we want to start getting into stuff like Ari's multiple overhead Oki setups and stuff like that, or some of Alawi's strike throw mixes, it gets absolutely brutal, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's very cool. And then we have to talk about the fuse and the tag system. Tag fighters are weird. I'm really bad at the tag fighting mechanics in this game. The only kind of team fighter I've played is King of Fighters, and that is explicitly not a tag fighter. It's kind of like you have 3 different lives that you're playing as, so I am not used to tagging in and out. So I can't speak a lot on the total, like, optimum skill ceiling that you get with some of the tags, or the fuses that they're called that let you have more than one assist or tag within a combo. But from some of the stuff I've seen on Twitter, there is some nasty, nasty combo conversions you can do, and it's really cool. However, the damage is a little all over the place. A new player or a player like me is maybe going to do, I don't know, 30% max on a combo without a super. Whereas other players that are able to utilize the tag system effectively are going to have their combos doing upwards of like 3/4 of your health. It's pretty brutal. Once again, this is not a bad thing, but I think it's something that new players are not going to know how to utilize effectively right off the bat, and are absolutely going to get dumpstered by early on. But, you know, as someone who was new to fighting games like a year ago, being dumpstered is kind of a rite of passage. I know it sounds shitty, but if you're not having fun getting beat and learning things, it's going to be really tough to advance as a player. So to have a game that is so in your face with how much of a knowledge gap there is between new and experienced players, I think it's actually going to do a lot of good, even if it does filter out some players that maybe realizing getting dumpstered in fighting games isn't exactly their favorite thing in the world. So what are my overall thoughts on the game? I think it's great. It's weird, but it's good. I'm thinking about it while I'm at work. I'm thinking about labbing stuff and playing stuff out and learning new things, even while I'm not playing. Do I like the game? Honestly, I don't know. It's very, very weird to get used to, and so really unlike anything else I've played before. But I do want to get into tag fighters. I want to learn this game. I want to learn Marvel vs. Capcom. I want to learn BlazBlue Cross Tag, because that seems like it's going to be the only BlazBlue game we'll have for a really long time. So I think it's good. I'm having fun. And really, what else do you need? I'm excited to see where the game evolves from here. I'm curious to see how things get tuned, or made more evil or less evil as the game goes on. And I'm curious to see what they do with future characters, because they've already made the current roster of 6 incredibly unique, and I think that's really, really cool. And I'm excited to see how things progress. So yeah, those are my initial thoughts on 2XKO Alpha Lab as someone who has never played tag fighters before. If you want to watch me play fighting games, I play them every Sunday, if not more often, on my Twitch stream. And I also make YouTube videos about a little bit of everything, but commonly fighting games as well. So I hope to see you tune in the future.